When we ask whether stability and passion can exist in the same relationship, we are really confronting a deeper paradox about modern love. It is a paradox that many people feel, but few articulate clearly. We want from one person what previous generations expected from an entire community. We want our partner to be our best friend, our trusted confidant, our emotional home, and at the very same time, we want that same person to be the source of mystery, excitement, erotic energy, and adventure. This is a very modern expectation. In the past, marriage was primarily an economic and social arrangement. People married for stability, for survival, for family continuity. Love might grow over time, but it was not the primary reason people committed to each other. Today, however, we marry for love, and we expect that love to give us not only security, but also meaning, fulfillment, and passion. And here is where the tension begins. Stability and passion are driven by two very different psychological needs. Stability is rooted in our desire for safety. It is about predictability, reliability, and trust. When we feel stable with someone, we feel that we can relax. We can exhale. We know that the other person is there for us. They are consistent. They are dependable. They are familiar. And familiarity is incredibly powerful. It is what allows us to build a life together. It is what allows us to share responsibilities, raise families, and face the uncertainties of the world with someone standing beside us. Stability tells us, you are safe here, but passion operates on a very different psychological engine. Passion thrives on novelty. It feeds on mystery, curiosity, and a sense of the unknown. Desire is energized by uncertainty. It is awakened by what we cannot fully predict or possess. Think about the early stages of a relationship. In the beginning, everything feels electric. Every conversation is exciting. Every touch carries intensity. We are curious about each other. We are discovering each other. There is distance. There is mystery. There is imagination. In those early moments, the other person is not yet fully known. They exist partly in reality and partly in our imagination. And imagination is a powerful fuel for desire. But as relationships mature, something very natural happens. We build routines. We learn each other's habits. We create shared responsibilities. We begin to know what the other person will say before they say it. We know how they react when they are tired, when they are stressed, when they are hungry. This familiarity is the foundation of stability. It creates trust. It creates comfort. It allows us to feel deeply connected. But here is the paradox. The very qualities that create safety can sometimes reduce the spark of excitement. Predictability can replace curiosity. Routine can replace discovery. The person who once felt mysterious can begin to feel entirely known. And when everything is known, desire can quietly fade. This does not mean that stability destroys passion, but it does mean that the two forces pull us in different directions. Stability wants closeness, certainty, and reassurance. Passion wants space, surprise, and imagination. And this tension is not a problem to eliminate. It is a tension to understand. Many couples mistakenly believe that if passion fades, something must be wrong with the relationship. They assume that love has disappeared or that they have chosen the wrong partner. But very often, what they are experiencing is simply the natural shift from the excitement of discovery to the comfort of familiarity. The real question is not whether stability and passion conflict. The real question is whether we can learn to hold both. Because the truth is, human beings need both. We need the comfort of knowing that someone will be there for us when life becomes difficult. We need the emotional safety of trust and commitment. But we also need moments that remind us that the person beside us is not just our partner in logistics, but also a source of vitality and intrigue. Passion does not survive on stability alone. It needs oxygen. It needs moments of unpredictability. It needs the reminder that the person we love is not simply a role in our daily routine, but a complex, evolving individual who continues to surprise us. When we begin to understand this paradox, something shifts in how we approach relationships. We stop asking why passion disappeared, and we start asking what conditions allow it to reappear. Because passion is not the opposite of stability. It is the spark that becomes visible when familiarity makes room for mystery again. And perhaps the most important realization is this: love feels safe when we know our partner will stay, but desire awakens when we remember that they are free. Once we begin to understand the paradox between stability and passion, another important realization emerges. Desire is not always born from closeness. In many cases, desire actually grows in the space between two people. This can feel counterintuitive because we are often taught that the goal of love is complete togetherness. We celebrate the idea of becoming one, of merging lives, thoughts, routines, and identities. Couples proudly say, "We do everything together," as if the disappearance of distance is the ultimate sign of intimacy. But psychologically speaking, desire requires something very specific to survive. It requires a certain amount of separation. When two people first meet, there is naturally a space between them. They do not fully know each other yet. Each person still exists as a separate world waiting to be explored. That distance creates curiosity. We wonder what the other person is thinking, what they feel, what they will reveal next. Our imagination becomes active. And imagination is one of the most powerful fuels of attraction. But as relationships deepen, that space can slowly collapse. We begin to share everything. We spend most of our time together. We know each other's schedules, habits, reactions, and preferences. Gradually, the mystery that once sparked curiosity begins to fade. The relationship becomes closer, but it can also become more predictable. Now, predictability is not a bad thing. It is, in fact, one of the foundations of emotional safety. Knowing that your partner will come home, that they will support you, that they will respond in familiar ways, this builds trust. It creates the kind of stability that allows relationships to last. But desire does not thrive on certainty alone. Desire thrives when we occasionally see our partner from a distance again. Not physical distance necessarily, but psychological distance. The moment when we suddenly notice them not just as my partner or the person I live with, but as an independent individual with their own world, their own thoughts, their own experiences that exist outside of us. Think about those moments when you see your partner doing something that has nothing to do with you. Perhaps they are passionately speaking about a subject they love. Maybe they are deeply engaged in their work, confident and focused. Maybe they are laughing with friends, completely in their own element. In those moments, you are not just seeing your partner as part of your daily routine. You are seeing them as a separate person. And often that is exactly when attraction returns. You look at them and think, there is more to this person than the roles we play together. That sense of separateness is not a threat to intimacy. In fact, it can be the very thing that revitalizes it. When two people become completely fused, when every experience, every thought, every moment is shared, something subtle happens. The relationship becomes extremely close, but it can also lose the tension that fuels desire, because desire needs a bridge to cross. If there is no space between two people, there is no bridge. There is nowhere for curiosity to travel. There is no room for imagination. Healthy relationships, therefore, require a delicate balance. We need connection, but we also need individuality. We need closeness, but we also need the freedom to remain whole people outside the relationship. This is why the most vibrant couples are often those who continue to grow as individuals while staying emotionally connected. They maintain interests, friendships, passions, and experiences that belong uniquely to them. When they come back together, they are not simply repeating the same familiar routines. They are bringing new energy into the relationship. They remain interesting to each other. And this is an important shift in perspective. Instead of believing that love means eliminating all distance, we begin to understand that some distance is actually necessary for desire to breathe. Closeness gives us security. Distance gives us perspective. Closeness tells us we belong together. Distance reminds us that the person we love is still a mystery worth discovering. And when we allow that mystery to exist, something remarkable happens. The relationship becomes both stable and alive. It becomes a place where safety and curiosity coexist. Because the truth is, we are most drawn to our partners not when they disappear into our lives completely, but when we can still glimpse the independent, fascinating person they continue to be. And sometimes the most powerful way to rekindle attraction is simply to step back far enough to see the person you love with fresh eyes again. Once we recognize that desire needs space and that passion is closely tied to curiosity, the next question naturally follows: how do couples keep that curiosity alive over time? Because curiosity, unlike the initial spark of attraction, does not simply appear on its own forever. In the beginning of a relationship, curiosity is effortless. Everything about the other person is new. You want to know their stories, their opinions, their memories, their dreams. You ask questions naturally, you listen carefully, you observe details. Discovery feels exciting because the person in front of you is still largely unknown. But over time, something very subtle happens in long-term relationships. We begin to believe we already know the other person completely. We assume we know how they think. We assume we know how they will react. We assume we know what they like, what they dislike, what they will say before they say it. And slowly, without even noticing it, curiosity begins to fade. The relationship shifts from discovery to assumption. This shift is understandable. After all, familiarity is one of the comforts of long-term love. Knowing someone deeply creates efficiency in daily life. You no longer need to ask every question or explain every detail. You develop patterns, routines, and expectations. But the danger of assumption is that it freezes the other person in time. When we believe we fully know our partner, we stop looking for who they are becoming. And the truth is that people are constantly evolving. Experiences change us, challenges shape us. New ideas, new environments, new ambitions, all of these quietly transform who we are over the years. The person you met 5 or 10 years ago is not exactly the same person standing beside you today, yet many couples continue relating to each other as if nothing has changed. They interact with a memory rather than with the living, evolving person in front of them. Passion, however, depends on discovery. It depends on the feeling that there is still something to explore. This is why curiosity becomes one of the most powerful forces in sustaining desire. Curiosity invites us to look again. It encourages us to remain interested rather than certain. Instead of assuming we already know our partner, curiosity asks, what else is there to learn? Curiosity changes the quality of attention we give to each other. Instead of listening automatically, we listen with interest. Instead of interpreting everything through past experiences, we stay open to new expressions of the person we love. Curiosity allows us to be surprised again, and surprise is deeply connected to passion. Think about moments when you suddenly see a different side of your partner. Perhaps they share a thought you never expected. Perhaps they handle a difficult situation with strength you had not noticed before. Perhaps they reveal a dream they have never spoken about. In those moments, the person you thought you knew becomes intriguing again. The relationship becomes alive. But curiosity is not only about asking questions. It is also about creating experiences that allow new dimensions of the relationship to emerge. When couples repeat the same routines year after year, the relationship becomes predictable. Predictability is comfortable, but it rarely generates excitement. New experiences, on the other hand, create new emotional landscapes. Traveling together, learning something unfamiliar, facing challenges side by side, even changing small daily habits. These experiences interrupt routine. They bring people into situations where they respond spontaneously rather than automatically. And in those moments, partners begin to see each other differently. They witness qualities that everyday routines often hide. Playfulness, courage, creativity, vulnerability. These glimpses remind us that our partner is more than the roles they play in our daily lives. They are not just the person who pays bills, manages schedules, or handles responsibilities. They are a complex individual with layers that continue unfolding. This is why sustaining passion is less about dramatic gestures and more about maintaining an attitude of discovery. It requires resisting the temptation to reduce our partner to a predictable identity. Because the moment we believe we have fully figured someone out, we close the door to curiosity. And when curiosity disappears, desire often follows. But when curiosity remains alive, something very different happens. The relationship becomes a place where two people continue to grow, explore, and reveal themselves over time. The familiarity of long-term love remains, but it is accompanied by an ongoing sense of discovery. We begin to realize that passion is not simply the excitement of the beginning, It is the energy that appears when two people remain interested in each other's evolution. And perhaps the most powerful shift a couple can make is this: to stop asking whether they still know their partner and start asking what new parts of them are waiting to be discovered. If we step back and look at everything we've explored so far, the tension between stability and excitement, the importance of distance in sustaining desire, and the role curiosity plays in keeping relationships alive, we begin to see a deeper pattern. Healthy love is not about choosing between stability and passion. It is about learning how to hold two seemingly opposite needs at the same time. In many ways, relationships are built on two fundamental human desires. One is the desire for safety. The other is the desire for freedom. Safety is what allows us to relax. It is the feeling that someone is there for us, that we can trust them, that the relationship is dependable. Safety gives us roots. It anchors us in a world that is often unpredictable and chaotic. When we know that someone stands beside us with loyalty and care, life becomes more manageable. But human beings also have another equally powerful need. We need freedom. We need space to grow, to explore, to express different parts of ourselves. Freedom gives us wings. It allows us to expand beyond the boundaries of routine and expectation. The challenge in relationships is that these two needs can easily come into conflict. Safety pulls us toward closeness and stability. Freedom pulls us toward individuality and exploration. One wants certainty, the other thrives on possibility. Many couples assume they must sacrifice one for the other. They believe that if a relationship is stable, it will inevitably become boring. Or they believe that if passion remains alive, stability must somehow be fragile. But this is a false choice. The most resilient relationships are not those that eliminate this tension. They are the ones that learn how to manage it creatively. Think of stability as the foundation of a house. Without it, nothing lasts. Without trust, commitment, and emotional reliability, relationships become unstable. Partners feel anxious. They become defensive. They guard themselves rather than opening up. Stability creates the psychological safety that allows love to deepen. But passion is not built in the same way. Passion behaves more like a spark. It needs oxygen. It needs movement. It needs moments that break away from routine. If a relationship only focuses on stability, it may become secure but stagnant. Life becomes predictable. Conversations become repetitive. Partners begin to interact primarily through roles and responsibilities rather than through genuine fascination with each other. On the other hand, if a relationship only chases excitement without stability, it can become chaotic. Passion might flare intensely, but without trust and consistency, it cannot sustain itself over time. The art of a thriving relationship lies in holding both forces simultaneously. This means building a strong emotional foundation while also allowing room for individuality. It means supporting your partner's independence rather than feeling threatened by it. It means recognizing that your partner's growth is not a risk to the relationship. It is often what keeps the relationship vibrant. When two people feel secure enough to explore the world as individuals, something interesting happens. They bring new experiences, new ideas, and new energy back into the relationship. Instead of two people merging into a single identity, the relationship becomes a meeting place between two evolving lives. And this is where passion often finds its way back in. Because attraction is not only about comfort, it is also about admiration. It is about seeing your partner as someone who continues to grow, someone who has their own passions, their own ambitions, their own inner world. When we witness the vitality of another person, their creativity, their confidence, their curiosity, we are reminded of what first drew us to them. In this way, stability and freedom begin to support each other rather than compete. The security of the relationship provides the safety that allows each person to take risks, pursue interests, and express themselves fully. And that very self-expression becomes the source of renewed attraction within the relationship. Love becomes both a home and a horizon. A home is where we return for comfort, support, and belonging. It is where we feel accepted and understood. But a horizon is what invites us forward. It reminds us that there is still more to experience, more to learn, more to discover about ourselves and about each other. When relationships hold both of these elements, roots and wings, they become remarkably resilient. They provide the stability needed to navigate life's challenges, while also preserving the sense of aliveness that keeps partners emotionally and physically connected. And perhaps the most powerful realization is this: passion does not disappear because love becomes stable. It disappears when stability stops making room for growth. Because the strongest relationships are not the ones where two people hold on tightly to each other. They are the ones where two people feel safe enough to keep expanding and keep choosing each other as they do.